Hello, everyone. A very good evening to all of you. Greetings for the day. I'm Sayukta from All About Skin Wellbeing. And I'm sure all of you must be keeping good health. We all know taking good care of our skin is important for more than just the appearance. As the largest organ, your skin becomes the most essential to your overall health. A fungal infection is quite common on our skin, on nails, or many times on our scalp. Fungal infections are diseases caused by fungus. Mild fungal infections can look like a rash, it can be really itchy and annoying. So let's connect today with our skin expert, Dr. Chetna SG, who is joining us live from Mysore to enlighten us on the topic of fungal infection. Dr. Chetna is MBBS MD dermatologist. She has more than 15 years of experience in the field of dermatology. She has completed her MBBS degree from Kempegowda Institute of Medical Sciences, Bangalore. Then she did her MD from prestigious JGM Medical College, Devangiri, from Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences. She did an observership at Bangalore Institute of Medical Sciences in pediatric dermatology and dermatoscopy. Chetna completed an advanced fellowship in dermatology, dermatosurgery, and lasers from the state-of-the-art National Skin Center, Singapore, which is one of the leading referral centers for skin-related disorders in South Asia. Also, she has done an advanced pediatric dermatology course at the prestigious Children's Hospital, Birmingham, UK in 2015 and trained under international faculty. Her special interest lies in the field of dermatology, venereology, and leprosy, management of acne, vitiligo surgeries, Botox, fillers, PRP, lasers, etc. It's such a pleasure to have you with us, Dr. Chetna. Very warm welcome to you.
Thank you.
So, doctor, today we are going to talk about fungal infection, and I think this is the right time to talk about it because this is the season probably when the cases of fungal infection increases, right? So, first of all, why this season? When it's hot, humid, it's raining in various parts. Some of the days it's not raining, but we all are having the risk of getting fungal infection in this season.
Yeah. Nowadays, fungal infection has become very common in all seasons. Previously, it used to be only during summer and because of the hot humidity conditions. But nowadays, even in rainy season, because they don't dry their clothes and wear them, so again we see it in uh, rainy season and in winter season because it's very cold. People don't change their clothes very often, so it's been seen even in winter. And the fungus also has become resistant, so it has also been able to thrive in all seasons. So that is probably why we're seeing fungal infections more commonly in all the seasons.
Right. So fungal infection these days is not just restricted to summers or monsoon. It's something which is fine all the time, anytime during the year. Now, doctor, which are the body parts which are more prone or at risk of having fungal infection?
The most common area it usually affects is the groin folds. That is in your private area, and then usually all folds, your waistline, the inframandible area, the axillary area, also it affects. But in children, sometimes it can involve the face and scalp area also. And in working housewives, usually even the hands and nails, feet, these areas which are more exposed to water, these areas are commonly affected by fungal infection. And if they are diabetic or immunocompromised, again the vaginal area and the genital area in men also develop fungal infection. So these are the external areas, whereas sometimes it can involve the internal organs if they're very severely immunocompromised. During COVID time, we heard about the black fungus, mucormycosis. This usually affects in immunocompromised state, whether severe diabetes or they have put them on a lot of immunosuppressant drugs like in chemotherapy. In those patients, they can have systemic fungal infection. But Cutaneous fungal infection is more commonly seen.
Right. So today we'll talk about the superficial fungal infection, which happens on skin, nails, and scalp. Right, doctor?
Yeah,
Okay. Now, doctor, we always say, especially in medical field, that prevention is better than cure. Any way we can prevent having fungal infections?
definitely. I think 50% of our prescription is uh, telling the patient what not to do more than what to do. So, the first and foremost thing is to keep the area dry. So, every time they use the bathroom or the toilet, immediately they have to dry it with a cotton towel or a tissue or something. Keep the area as dry as possible and avoid repeated contact with water. Most of the housewives, they usually come in contact with water, so we say, do all your water works together within a half an hour or 1 hour span and finish it. Don't come in contact with water every time. And also women, especially during their cycles, they need to keep changing their sanitary napkins so that that area is dry, so that it prevents the recurrent fungal infection. And also for men, we usually say to use a boxer type of undergarments than the V-shaped one, so that it is more airy and reduces the chances of fungal infection. And we have to advise them to avoid wearing a very tight and synthetic clothes, tight jeans especially, they don't wash it every time. So again, it's a good source of fungal infection. So always avoid all that and use loose cotton clothes. These are the common advices that we advise. And also, while taking bath, use lukewarm water, not very hot water. Hot water again makes you sweat and increases fungal infection. Avoid scrubbing, rubbing the area. Any irritation can again increase the fungal infection. So they have to just wash it with bare hands and immediately pat dry and keep the area as dry as possible. And if they are diabetics, then they have to control their sugars.
Right. So these are the points that we need to keep in mind. We need to practice them. We need to keep our, hygiene level really good. That's fully important. But doctor, what happens in our society? We are so obsessed with home remedies nowadays. DIYs, do it yourself, hacks. They are so in trend. Then we have these over the counter topical applications, and people fall for it, right? In case they have any kind of infection, instead of going to a doctor, they'll first go to a chemist shop, or they'll run inside their kitchen and start applying something on their skin, or they'll start following an influencer on various social media platform and do what the influencer is asking them to do. And what happens initially, those over the counter topical application looks like they are working. We feel that okay, we are healing without, so what's the need of going to a doctor? But then we realize that it is actually not working. So what's your take on these home remedies or DIYs, and more importantly on these over the counter topical applications?
It's a very good topic to discuss, because most of the patients which I get, usually they all have already tried something at home, or on Insta they've seen something and they try it and make things worse and come. They usually apply garlic or they apply turmeric, they apply. And garlic usually has an acid, so it will burn the skin and cause more pigmentation and irritant contact dermatitis kind of a picture. So along with the fungal infection, we need to treat even the irritant contact dermatitis, or if they go for secondary infection, we have to treat the secondary infection first. And if they have gone for the over the counter pharmacy drugs, usually all the chemists give a combination creams with antifungal and a steroid combination. It gives a very immediate fast relief, but the problem is, again, steroids, they uh, cause reduces the immunity, local immunity, and hence the fungus thrives and it comes back with a vengeance. So it becomes more complicated to treat such patients. So I always advise them to either just use a plain coconut oil, if not anything, but don't apply all these over the counter drugs which have steroids in them. And also always keep that area dry, and even applying just plain emollients, moisturizers also does a pretty decent job in controlling the itching of fungal infection. So, better to avoid any over the counter drugs, or even no onion, garlic. Better to use them for cooking more than applying them on the skin.
Right. So it's very important to understand that these home remedies, these over the counter topical applications, they are not going to help. Rather, they'll make the condition even worse. So don't take this too far. Just go and visit a good qualified dermatologist. They'll help you in controlling and getting it cured. Now, doctor, when we are talking about these, fungal infection related cases, another thing that we see a lot these days is resistance of fungal infection or the medication or reoccurrence. Once we have fungal infection, we are getting it again and again and again. So, why we are getting so resistant, or why we are getting fungal infections again and again?
Recurrent fungal infection is now another very difficult condition that we are coming across nowadays. One thing is patients are not taking the adequate treatment. They take it for 2 weeks, and once they get a relief of itching, they stop the medicine. So again, the fungus recurs again. This repeatedly, when it happens, the fungus starts developing resistance to these antifungals. So again, when we give the antifungal treatment, even in the uh, adequate duration, still they come back with recurrence once we stop the medication. The other problem is when they start using over counter medicines which contain steroids. Steroid again reduces the immunity and helps the fungus to develop more resistance towards antifungals. And nowadays, these fungal infections have started developing a biofilm. That is, they develop a film around them so that these antifungals will not penetrate and destroy these fungus. So we have come up with newer molecules, nano silver particles, which will break down this biofilm and allow the antifungals to penetrate better, and so that it should avoid the development of resistance. And we have seen an emergence of a new tinea species called as Indotinea. So this species has become very resistant to most of the antifungals. So my advice is always give antifungals for a longer duration, even beyond when there is clinical cure, so that the recurrence and development of resistance of antifungal treatment should reduce, along with not only medication, all these general measures which I was telling about to keep that area dry, and avoid very tight and synthetic clothing. All these also helps in prevention of recurrence, and keeping the body hygiene and using lukewarm water, not scrubbing that area. All these helps in maintaining the hygiene and also preventing the recurrence of the fungal infections.
Fair enough. So we need to first go to a qualified dermatologist in case we have fungal infection. Part two, please, do the treatment, complete the prescription, and be in touch with your doctor. That's really important. Now, doctor, when a person comes to you with fungal infection, for the diagnosis, just the clinical or physical investigation is enough, or you need some test?
Most of the time, clinically, it is very evident. They usually have annular patches with active borders that gives the right away the diagnosis. But sometimes, if they have applied some steroid creams or they have taken inadequate treatment of antifungal treatment, sometimes it becomes a little vague. So that time, what we do is we do a KOH, that is a potassium hydroxide. We just take the scales and put it with potassium hydroxide and examine under the microscope to see the branching septate hyphae, which is classical for any fungal infection. And sometimes when we are in doubt, because we are being giving antifungal continuously, still they don't respond. So to just rule out if we are missing out something, sometimes we do a biopsy, and sometimes we even do a fungal culture. That is, we grow the fungi and try to find out for what antifungal they are sensitive to. So we can do a fungal culture and sensitivity, and then change the antifungal depending on the results. Other than that, generally we don't do much investigation. The other thing is, we also try to find out if they're diabetic. If they're diabetic also, they tend to get a recurrent infection. So we usually do a fasting blood sugar or a CBG to just rule out if they're diabetic. Other than that, no other major investigations are usually not required.
And doctor, what is the line of treatment? What are the treatment options, and how much time it requires to completely get rid of that fungal infection?
Yeah, coming to antifungals, we have topical antifungals and we have oral and systemic antifungals. So, topical only if they have a limited area of infection, then we advise topical antifungals. Again, in that, we have a few types of antifungal creams without any steroids. Now, going to systemic antifungal, now that we have seen that most of these fungus are resistant to topical antifungals, so we go for the systemic antifungals, and these have to be given for an adequate duration. That is, if it is a skin infection, then normally we give for 4 to 6 weeks of antifungal treatment, whereas if it is the hair, sometimes even 6 to 8 weeks we give. If the nails are involved, it requires more duration. If it is the hand nails, fingernails, then usually we can go up to 5 to 6 months. And if it's the toenails, 9 to 12 months also we give treatment. But always systemic antifungals along with the general measures are usually more helpful. The only thing is the duration changes from uh, place to place, where if it is only on the skin, it's a little shorter duration, whereas nails and hair, it is a little longer duration, because the spores take a longer time to get eliminated from these areas. Along with that, sometimes we even give keratolytic agents, non fungal treatments like salicylic acid, or you know, since we are trying to get away from antifungals. And we have even tried oral isotretinoin in very resistant cases, because the uh, problem is we have very limited number of antifungal drugs, and we cannot give them lifelong because they are all hepatotoxic, so we'll have to monitor their liver function tests also. So to get away from that, we are trying other non antifungal agents which can be used for a little longer duration.
Okay. I'm getting so many questions from our viewers. One of the question I want to take, Amit Jata was asking, his brother is having fungal infection. Now he's asking that what should we as a family do to, not get infected from him?
Yeah, it's very common for the whole family to get affected by fungal infection. So the first thing is that all his soap, towel, or even clothing, everything has to be segregated and washed separately, dried out nicely in the sunlight, and then it has to be used. Never use the same old clothes, and don't share your clothes, your footwear, your towel. They all contain the fungal spores, so it can spread from one person to the other person. And even the comb also, better to use separate combs. Don't share your items, and don't share towels especially, and soaps. Everything should be segregated, and it has to be dried out nicely in the sun and then used.
Right. So you need to be very careful, take these steps in your keep these steps in your mind. Ahmed Khan is here. His question is: do all the rashes, does all the rashes on our skin that appears as fungal infection, are they fungal infections?
No. Sometimes some eczemas also can look like a fungal infection, or even sometimes some viral rashes can look like some fungal infection. So it's always better to meet your dermatologist, try to find out what type of a rash you're having, and take the specific medication, because not all rashes are fungal infections.
Doctor, if you can tell us how does fungal infection looks like?
Usually, it starts like a pinpoint red spot, and then slowly it starts increasing in size. It becomes annular, round. That's why that word ringworm. It looks like a ring, but it's not a worm infection. It is a fungal infection, and there'll be a lot of itching. And even sometimes when you scratch that area, the skin comes out like a powder. It's a powdery appearance. The scales come out of that area. So, and again, depending on where it is involved, the clinical features will be different. If it is in the groin area, it will be an incomplete circle. Whereas if it is on the other parts of the body, it can be a total circle. If it is the scalp, they can start losing hair on that area. They can have lot of dandruff on that area. Or if the nails are involved, then they can be discoloration of the nail, or there can be infection of the lateral nail folds because of this recurrent fungal infection. So it's always better to meet a dermatologist, try to rule out all the other causes, and start the specific medication.
Okay. Now, Deepak Saxena is here, and his question is: I'm having fungal infection. I want to go out. So, what are the precautions that I should take?
uh, Having a fungal infection doesn't mean that that person has to be isolated. He can have a normal life. The only thing is to keep the area dry and use loose cotton clothing, and never repeat the same cloth. If they sweat a lot, then better to change their clothes 2 times a day. Wash all your clothes separately, wash and dry them in the sunlight, and then only wear them. Never wear wet clothes, and keep that area as dry as possible. You can use even dusting powders, especially in the groin area, to keep that area dry, and use loose cotton undergarments and loose cotton clothes so that it's very airy and dry, so that the fungus will not be able to thrive on those areas. Along with that, start off on antifungal oral and topical medications so that the fungus gets resolved very quickly.
Okay. Shashi Soni is here. Her question is: if we wear wet shoes, uh, can it lead to fungal infection?
Yes, definitely. Wet socks, wet shoes, they all are a very good culture media for fungus. So always dry out your socks and shoes whenever, if you're going for a walk or a jogging or your gym. Always dry them out nicely in the sunlight and then use. And never share your shoes and socks also. You may never know who else has fungal infection.
Right. John Burgess is asking: does fungal infection cause itching?
Yes, the most common symptom with any fungal infection is itching. Unless it involves the nails, most of the time it causes a lot of itching.
Okay. Tina Bhargav is asking: can fungal infection spread through pets?
Yeah. There are different fungi species that affects animals, zoonotic fungi. Generally, they don't affect humans, but if you're in a very close contact with your pets who are having fungal infection, you can develop fungal infection. These fungal infections are more severe. They're more itchy, they're more resistant to treatment. So if you are seeing any patches of hair loss, or the cat or dog is scratching too much, then better to meet a local veterinary doctor and get your pet also treated, so that you will not develop this infection again.
Hmm. Right. Now, doctor, we have throughout this session we have discussed about nail and scalp-related fungal infection also in bits and pieces. Now we would like to have a concrete, talk on nail and scalp-related fungal infection. First of all, talking about nail fungal infection, who all are at risk, and how to get it treated, and what are the signs and symptoms.
Nail infection is most difficult to treat because nail is a very hard structure. So any minor injury, trauma, the fungal elements enter it and it starts growing there. And it is very common in housewives, especially, or people who work in a lot of water. So that's why we tell them to, first thing is to avoid the water work. But most of the housewives cannot avoid it, so we usually tell them to accumulate all your waterworks at one time and finish them off, and don't repeatedly touch water again and again, and immediately pat dry your hand and keep that area dry, or just apply any moisturizer or any antifungal cream also, it should be okay. And always cut your nails in a horizontal pattern and not in a u-shaped pattern. Don't do that. That causes more of an ingrown nail, and that causes another type of a complication. And also these nail infections are again resistant, so they don't only respond to topical antifungal. Usually we have to go for systemic antifungal. So we have some pulse therapies. We cannot give antifungal for 9 months, 12 months till the whole nail grows. Again, it can cause some hepatotoxicity. So we usually advise the patient to go for a pulse therapy, that is 1 week in a month for 9 to 12 months. We can give oral antifungal. Along with that, we, if the nail is very thick and hard, then we can give topical keratolytics like salicylic acid, urea, under occlusion, so that it makes the nail a little more softer, pliable, so that the topical antifungal lotions, or now we have come up with a nail polish like a medicine, nail lacquer, we say, that can be applied weekly once also. So the main thing is to keep that area as dry as possible and avoid, over cutting the nail, or giving the shape to the nail. Always cut it straight.
Right. And doctor, do taking procedures like manicure, pedicure at any salon or parlor, does it also increases the risk of nail fungal infection?
Yes, definitely. Especially in parlors who don't maintain a proper hygiene. If they have used the same file in patients who have already had a fungal infection, that can also make them prone to develop nail fungal infection. And also, they try to push the cuticle backwards, while doing a manicure and all. And that again, all that process is making the fungal infection to enter into the nail folds, into the nail, and developing the fungal infection. So it's always better to do your mani pedi at home than to get it done outside, unless you're sure that they are very hygiene and they sterilize all their instruments after every customer.
Right. Now we would like to talk a bit more about scalp-related fungal infection, doctor. Who are more affected or at risk, and how does it look like?
Yeah, hair fungal infection is more common in children, especially school going children, and in boys, especially. They have very short hair. They don't, clean their scalp very often. They keep sharing their combs with others, or even if they have tonsured their hair, after, if they've used, the tonsure person has used the blade which has already been used on somebody else who's had a scalp fungal infection. So that's how they tend to get the fungal infections. It's not very common in elders unless they don't maintain a very good hygiene, and they usually develop patchy hair loss and a lot of scaling and itching on the scalp. there is easy breakability of the hair. So the soon they immediately as they comb, the hair starts breaking. We can see a gray patch area, or black dots. That is all the broken hairs that we are able to see, black dots. Sometimes it can get infected. That is a infected variant of Tinea capitis. We call it as Kirion and flavus, where along with antifungals, we also have to give antibiotics. So we give first the antibiotics, first control the infection, and then we go for the antifungal treatment. And one easy thing is to apply an anti-dandruff shampoo, which has antifungal. That also helps to maintain. But since the fungus will be in the root of the hairs, it can penetrate. So it's always better to start on oral antifungals for at least 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes even 8 weeks. We try to give till the whole hair regrows back.
Does oiling the scalp, because it's quite common that we do. It's quite a common practice in our society. So oiling the scalp, is it good or bad for fungal infection?
Um, Oiling the scalp with light oils is okay, not with very thick oil. Like castor oil and all are very thick oils, and they can block the pores, they can cause folliculitis, and also sometimes the what we say, this malaria or sweat rash and all it can cause. Fungal infections, there are studies to say that coconut oil actually helps to resolve fungal infections. So, of the lot, coconut oil is slightly better, but always apply in a little quantity. Don't rub, massage it too much. Just apply very little quantity, maybe 1 or 2 hours before head bath, and then wash it off. Is what I would advise. Don't apply too much of oil on the scalp, because other than these fungal infection, we have even the dandruff causing fungus, Malassezia furfur and globosa. Those group of organisms, for them, no, coconut oil also is a very good culture media. So that's why very little light massaging to just improve the circulation of the scalp, that should be enough. Not very vigorous massaging or applying too much of oil, again, can block the pores and cause other problems like folliculitis. So better to avoid too much of oiling on the scalp.
Right, right. Sia Jan is here. Her question is, I go swimming classes, but I heard it can cause fungal infection. So what can I do to avoid fungal infection at a swimming pool?
Yeah. Again, in swimming pools, it's a water condition. Though it has chlorine, uh, still they can develop a fungal infection. So the first thing is, immediately after swimming, you have to wash your body or take a bath, and immediately pat dry. Put all your swimming costumes to dry out nicely. Don't again reuse them without drying them, and pat dry yourself totally from head to toe, because when you're swimming, even your hair, scalp also gets wet. So from head to toe, in between your web spaces, everywhere you have to dry your skin, and only then you should apply your next clothes. Never wear wet clothes as much as possible, and also don't share your chappals over there when you're in near the swimming pool. Don't share others chappals.
Right. Doctor, many times what happens, especially in this weather when it's mostly raining, clothes doesn't dry well. Many times we don't see sun for, a couple of days or maybe a week, and we try to dry them well, but then it's quite, if not wet, it's damp, and we wear that cloth. Does it increases the risk of catching fungal infection, these damp clothes?
Yes, definitely. Even a little bit of moisture is enough for the fungus to grow wildly. So always better to either you iron the clothes and then wear them, or try to wear loose cotton clothes. Cotton usually dries very faster. So at least use cotton clothes. Synthetics, they don't, especially woolen clothes, they don't dry very fast. So better to avoid those clothes, and better to iron them, or use a dryer with your washing machine, and then try to dry them. If it is still not dry, then better to iron the clothes and then wear them, including your undergarments. Or you can even use a hair dryer also and dry them. Yeah.
Right. Now, doctor, if a pregnant lady is infected with fungal infection, what precautions she need to take, or what is the line of treatment then?
Yeah. Most difficult patient to counsel is the pregnant lady, because she's worried more about her baby. And most of these fungal infections, they don't go without oral antifungals. So we need to convince them that there are medications which are safe during pregnancy also, especially the first 3 months, the first trimester, what we call. We try to avoid oral antifungals. So by then the organogenesis is over, and after the third month we can start them on oral antifungals. Usually the first trimester we give them only topical antifungals, and the general measures has to be advised, because if they go into their third trimester, and just before their delivery, if the tinea is very extensive, then even if they go for the c-section, the wound will not heal wherever they have put the sutures, if that area has got infected with fungal infection. So pregnant ladies especially, they sweat a lot, so they should be very careful. They have to keep the area dry, and also wear loose cotton clothes, and they have to meet a dermatologist and start the treatment as early as possible, so that the fungal infection gets cleared very quickly.
Absolutely. Now, doctor, before we wind up the whole session, any take-home message for our viewers?
Yeah, the most common is the general measures. Always keep the area dry. Take bath every day. Use lukewarm water. Don't scrub the area, and use loose cotton clothing. Dry them out nicely and then wear. Never wear any damp clothes. And always meet a dermatologist or a doctor and start the treatment. Don't go for over-counter drugs or any kitchen remedies for
Remedy.
fungal infection. And always segregate your clothes, and so that you don't infect other family members. This would be my take home messages.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Chetna SG, for your valuable time, ma'am. It has been a very informative session for our viewers, and we really appreciate your insights. Thank you so very much once again.
Thank you for being a wonderful anchor and asking very relevant questions. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure, Doctor, having you with us. And viewers, thank you for your excellent participation. For more information and updates on skin health and care, stay connected on our FB page, all about skin well being. We are also available on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you and have a great evening ahead.